Hey out there, everyone. This is Zastro and Lazarus Tellraven here with the 8th match of the elimination bracket of the 10th Alliance Tournament. This is Shadow Cartel versus Nulli Secunda in what looks like it's going to be a really good match. What are we looking at here, Laz?
We're looking at a actual Minotaur Rush type setup for Shadow Cartel. I'm kind of disappointed after all the blaster sets we've seen from them. They kind of threw it up, changed it up a bit. Yeah. But from Nulli Secunda, we have 3 Proteuses, a Loki, an Arrows, Ishkur, 2 Ishkurs, and 4 Enyos. So, I mean, you got a lot of blasters there, and then you have the Frigg drone DPS from the Ishkurs.
This is going to be another one of those Minotaur Rush versus a blaster setup, but with some slight variations with a couple of the ships that we've seen, like a Tornado and some other things that are a bit different here.
Yeah, it's we saw a Tornado once in the prelims from Goons, he was quite effective. This Tornado is also running 800mm repeating artillery, which are autocannons. So I mean, they do have pretty good range there on those guns. And it looks like as the match is underway, the Sleipnirs and the Shadow Cartel team is burning away. It looks like they're trying to maybe pick off some of these something that's burning out towards them. Got lots of ECM drones in the field for Nulli Secunda.
Yeah, I think it was a good move on Shadow Cartel's part. They're gonna have to control the positioning in this match. Arena control is going to be a big deal, and to see who wins. All of those Proteuses on Nulli Secunda are tracking disrupted, so that's going to drop their DPS off quite a bit.
Yep, there's nothing but ECM drones on the field right now. No, not a single damage drones, all ECM drones.
Yeah, and that's a pretty good move. ECM drones have been really good so far in the tournament. Those EC300s jam a surprisingly high amount of time.
Yeah, and these Proteuses have quite high effective HP, like we were saying in previous matches. So them trying to burn down one of these Proteuses at the beginning isn't going to be that effective. They need to get around these Proteuses and go after something a little bit more squishy, like the Arrows or some of these frigates.
Yep, but right now, Nulli is completely unable to get any damage to bear on Shadow Cartel. Shadow Cartel is still controlling arena position. They're staying away from those Nulli ships, and half of Nulli's ships are either being tracking disrupted or have ECM drones on them now.
Yeah, it looks like the Loki for Shadow Cartel is jammed. You're not seeing any webs coming from that Loki. Just get a zoom in here on that.
But the Oneros isn't jammed. He's still able to rep, and that's going to keep all of Nulli's ships alive for now. Yeah, those Proteuses have too good of a tank. If they're going to continue DPSing the Proteus, they're not going to get anywhere as long as that Oneros can rep them.
Yeah, we do have Wildbagger of Shadow Cartel web down here. So maybe those Proteuses will be able to catch up if they're not jammed by all these massive wave of ECM drones and get some DPS supplied.
Don't you think Shadow Cartel should probably try going after Nulli's frigates at this point so they can better dictate the range as the match goes on?
Well, I mean, you just see them just dumping DPS into this Proteus, and it has such high resistances, it's in such a huge amounts of EHP on that armor tank that they, like I said, they really need to go after something squishy, either the Oneros or the frigates.
Yeah, and the Oneros is not jammed. He has no problem keeping his reps up on the Proteus. So I think that's probably some bad target calling on Shadow Cartel's side. But at the same time, Shadow Cartel isn't in any danger either. Nulli's just completely unable to get their damage to bear on them.
Yeah, as you're starting to see some DPS applied to the Sleipnir, they don't have a Scimitar, so I mean the only type of tank he's going to have is the ASB.
Yeah, that's why it's so important that Sleipnir stays out of getting tackled. If all those Proteuses catch up with him, he's going to die real bad.
Yeah, I mean, once he runs out of charges in this ASB, he will be dead. These Proteuses are on top of him. He is getting wed by their Loki. So I mean, I don't know. I really wanted to see Shadow Cartel win this, and I think
they're
this
going to still. I mean, that Oneros is getting dominated, and he's going to die before that Sleipnir dies. Once that Oneros is down, the Shadow Cartel could switch back over to the Proteuses if they want. Without him getting reps, I think they'll be able to chew through his tank.
Yeah, I think really the most effective thing for them to do is going to be get some of these Enyos off field. I mean, that Frigg DPS is a lot, and just getting these Ishkurs off the field as well to get these ECM drones down.
Yeah, Shadow Cartel's really relying on positioning, and they can't be tackled. And right now, about half of them are webbed, so it could get ugly once all those Proteuses get on top of this.
So the Oneros is down, and the first Enyo is down off the field for Nulli Secunda. The Sleipnir is out of charges as he is entering armor. He's not getting any more reps from that booster, and he's going to go down. I mean, there's nothing that's going to stop it.
Yep, so the Sleipnir's dying, and at the same time, Shadow Cartel's dropping Nulli's tacklers. So they're going to trade a Sleipnir, but they're going to have an easier time controlling the positioning of the match from here on out.
Yeah, so just hopefully they have enough charges and enough tank on these Moranning ships that they're going to be able to get through the HP of these Proteuses is because they do not have the reps. But as you see, that the Tornado is actually taking quite heavy damage.
Yeah, he's webbed now. He's tackled, and he's not moving anywhere. So he's in a bad place.
And that, I mean, that's the problem with these Tier 3 battlecruisers. They're just so thin.
Yeah, I thought we'd see more Tier 3 battlecruisers being fielded, but we're not. And that's mostly because of their tanking issues. They just, as soon as something gets on them, they die. And it's easy to mitigate damage from those big battleship guns if you put tracking disruptors on them.
It looks like one of the NEOs did die. Monty Reagan died from a boundary violation.
Got a little too close to the edge of glory, and there goes that Tornado. He died too after being tackled by the Nulli Secunda guys.
Yep, so we're down to 2 Sleipnirs, Loki, and then a lot of frigates for Shadow Cartel left on the field.
This could still go either way. I think Nulli Secunda is in a worse place right now because they lost their logistics, but it's going to depend on if they get the tackles in Shadow Cartel.
Well, there's still a lot of ECM drones on the field. As you see on the Nulli Secunda side, a lot of attempted jams being applied to those ships.
Yeah. And one of Nulli's tacklers, another Enyo, down. So it's going to continue as they pop these tacklers. It's going to continue to be easier for Shadow Cartel to maintain their distance and stay out of trouble.
Yeah, I mean, I really think Shadow Cartel wants to get this last couple of frigates down to go after that Loki. It's not going to have.
But one of their Sleipnirs is tackled now, and if he goes down, that's real bad for Shadow Cartel.
That's a lot of DPS gone.
That's
wow,
a massive chunk of DPS gone.
Just look at him just melt.
Yep, dead. Bam. So that's a really good for Nulli Secunda.
That's really huge.
Yeah, and even though they don't have the reps of their Oneros anymore, Nulli doesn't have near as much DPS to worry about from Shadow Cartel. I think they're going to be able to stay alive and knock Shadow Cartel out, which is really going to mess up my bracket. Thanks, guys.
Yes, I mean, you're starting to see this Neo entering structure.
Yeah, and they're going to trade him for a Dramiel.
Yeah, Dramiel is really nice. I mean, Dramiel does quite good DPS, really fast tackler. But the more and more ships that they lose on Shadow Cartel, they're just losing so much DPS with the 2 Sleipnirs already dead.
Yeah, they may be able to maintain better positioning now that all of Nulli's tacklers are dead, but they don't have the DPS anymore. 2 Sleipnirs and a Tornado down. That was just like the massive bulk of their DPS. They only have 1 Sleipnir and that Loki running around to try to kill stuff.
Yep, I mean, and just see these Lokis. Every single DPS ship is getting webbed down back to back, and yeah, getting the frigs down is effective, but they really needed to get that Loki down, get those webs down.
Yeah. So everyone's been talking about the ASB and how powerful it is and how it gives you a second buffer should your logistics fail. And it does bring around the possibility of running a setup with no logistics like Shadow Cartel did here. But they're really suffering. I mean, look, they can't tank anything. Well, they can tank a little bit, but it certainly would be better if they had a Scimitar running around.
Yep, so we're seeing damage being applied to the Loki now on both sides, but the Loki, Eris Diane, is in deep armor about to enter structure.
Yeah, and those ECM drones are not going to save him. He's going to die here in a second.
And, wow.
Yep, and that'll do it. And I had Shadow Cartel going really far in my bracket. I had them going into the Final Four, and it looks like Nulli's going to kick them out right now.
Man, I mean, Shadow Cartel was my RVB, the team of my heart for this Alliance tournament, and they brought this Mimitar setup. I thought they were going to do it once they got the Nearest down and be able to chew through some of these Proteuses. But no, it looks like, I mean, they're not going to be able to take it at this point.
Yeah, Shadow Cartel had an excellent showing in the group stages, and prior to that, I loved their high DPS blaster setups. They tried to switch it up to the Mimitar setup, and it's just not working out for them. It seems like once they get out of their comfort zone of the big DPS blaster setups, they don't do as well. Because I think they tried to bring a kiting or like ECM setup in the group stages, and that was their loss in the group stages too. As soon as they got out of the blaster setup, it didn't go as well for them.
Yep. So that's gonna be the first. This is gonna be the first match that I've lost today. I mean, I was going to go.
This is my third, but it's going to cascade down my bracket because I had Shadow Cartel winning their next match too. So now Nulli Secunda, who not a bad team at all, but I think Shadow Cartel was really favored to beat him here. Yeah, that's going to upset a lot of brackets.
I'm really upset.
An upset in more ways than one, and that means Nulli is going to face Exodus in their next match, which is going to be a good one. all of the matches today are excellent fights. This was an exciting one too, but it's just going to get better as the day goes on.
Yep, their last-ditch effort to get some of these ships down. Sleipnir is about to enter armor for Shadow Cartel, the last Sleipnir on the team. The Loki for Nulli Secunda in half armor. So, I mean, it's once this Sleipnir goes down, they're not going to be able to do much at all.
And he is ASB repping. He's showing us that you don't need a logistics to rep yourself, but it's just it's not enough. Even if he does get this Loki down, it's not going to get him enough points to win, and the match is over in 45 seconds.
Yeah, it's really disheartening, but it's really a solid setup from Nulli Secunda. It was really odd seeing Lokis on both sides. We haven't really seen them too much in the match. I think we saw them a few times in the prelims, but not overall very much in the group stages. Yeah,
I mean, it's a solid ship, and they've done well in this match. But I think people have fallen more in love with the high DPS of the Vindicators or the mobility and tanking of a Sleipnir.
Right.
Sleipnir. I've been told that the Icelandic pronunciation of Sleipnir is that Sleipnir. So I'm going to do my best to pronounce that appropriately.
I've been trying ever since we learned, but it's not too effective.
3, 2, 1, and yep, he's going to die. Just the last second, that Loki got down, but it's not enough. Did that Sleipnir die before the time or not?
Don't think
no, he did.
Yes, it did. It looks like it did get in at the very end.
But it's not going to make a difference. The match is over, and Nulli Secunda will advance to the next round. And Shadow Cartel, although they had a great showing so far in the tournament, is out. And that'll do it for the first half of our matches here today. We'll turn you back over to the studio before we take a short break.